Bastion isn't in the meta right now. Bastion is the meta right now. He is so overpowered. He's so strong. He's in every single game, every single comp game, every single normal game. You name it, he's in it. Well, are you a Bastion player? Well, if you are, sorry, because the changes are kind of going in effect immediately. It was announced this morning that Bastion changes are on the horizon. In fact, as they updated the PTR, which gave us the new hero as well, they're also putting in some Bastion changes. Some much needed Bastion changes, as he's in every single game. Offense and defense, he's always there. And that's not what Blizzard wants. In fact, Jeff Kaplan has talked about this in a recent update that he posted in a couple of forum posts. If you want to know everything that he said in the forums and all of his opinions, go check it out. I'm not going to cover that so much because it's kind of old news at this point. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it and then talk about what I think it means. Right, so I've said the Bastion changes are on the PTR already. I haven't seen what they are. I don't care necessarily what they are. I just hope that they nerf Bastion a little bit because Bastion is a little bit overpowered. So what Jeff said is that Bastion changes, or meta changes in general, are always kind of a good idea. It's always nice to have people who can be picked and played and countered, right? That's what we want. We want people to be picked and viable, but then we also don't want them to just destroy the other team. How do you counter a Bastion? Well, with another Bastion. That's not a good answer for Blizzard, as far as Jeff's concerned. What Jeff did say is that, say you like Bastion a lot, and say you're great at Bastion, you should be able to play Bastion. There's a top 500 or a Grandmaster player right now that plays almost nothing but Bastion, and he is an absolute god at Bastion. Now, he's definitely top 500, obviously, because his main, or the only character that he really plays, is super in the meta right now. How do you win a game? You have a Bastion on your team. How do you lose a game? You don't have a Bastion on your team. And that's not how Jeff wants things to be. Jeff wants things to be viable. Everything should be viable. Not necessarily everything should be meta, but everything should be viable. Viable simply that you can pick it and it's not going to be like Symmetra was before the rework, where she was absolutely useless, and if you picked her, you were clearly trying to throw the game very, very hard. Something else that has recently come out with this is that Mercy is going to be huge right now in the meta. The reason why is because she can buff Bastion and give him extra damage. So she has actually been in the game a lot, which Jeff likes. So what Jeff has said is that he plays quite a bit of Overwatch and he likes to play a lot of different things, and he does think that Bastion is a little bit overpowered right now. He was saying that in a 6v6 capture the flag mode, he was playing Bastion and he was going against another Tracer. This Tracer was hunting him down. He also stated that the Tracer was a much better player than he was, but he was still able to kill the Tracer. Why? Because he could out-heal her. He could heal himself and then take her out in recon form, which he thought shouldn't happen. Which I do agree with this, it shouldn't happen. So what I'm suspecting is that we'll probably see some kind of a nerf to Bastion's healing. Maybe it heals him a little bit less than it does currently on live. Maybe he'll move, maybe he won't be able to move, but he can still heal through getting shot or something like that. I don't know what they'll do with it, but they definitely need to do something. And Jeff has acknowledged this, and he has stated that he's planning on doing something about this. However, Jeff wants people like Bastion, like Symmetra, and like Torbjorn to be viable. They should be able to be picked and not criticized all the time. You know, they shouldn't be unpickable. They shouldn't be what you would call a quote-unquote cancer comp. He doesn't want that. What he wants is he wants everything to be viable, not necessarily meta. Meta should shift, of course, as it always has and as it probably always will. What he doesn't want is he doesn't want everyone to be meta, right? He doesn't want everyone to be picked as much as everyone else. The reason why is because that's going to take a ton of fine-tuning to get that to be a reality. And I personally agree with that 100%. I like the whole thing shift in and out of the meta. It's like that with every single Blizzard game, every game ever made, really, as long as it has updates and whatnot going through it. So that's why he said that Bastion is only semi-overpowered, right? If you tune Bastion just a little bit, Bastion is going to kind of recede a little bit, I guess, if that makes sense. He's not going to be as viable as he was, and you might not see him in every game. If he's still in every game after this nerf, well, then they'll nerf him again and go from there until he has a decent pick rate. But what he also said what Jeff also said was that you can't just say that you want somebody to have a higher pick rate without them getting buffed. He's talking, of course, about Bastion, about Symmetra, you know, these characters that are not good, these characters that are just bad picks in competitive not right now, but in general, I guess. So for me, I feel good about this. I feel good about this because I don't want Bastion to be just 100% the meta. You know, I don't want Bastion to be the new Soldier. I want Soldier to be meta because Soldier is somebody who is a straightforward character. There's no gimmicks to him. You know, it's hard to make him just wipe an entire team unless he's doing something like Nano Visor. Bastion, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. He jumps in a corridor with a bunch of people, you know, a closed confined space, and he can either Q and just wreck people with the AoE damage off of that if they're pretty close to one another, or he can just go into sentry mode, which isn't even his ultimate, and then just shred him. So I do like that they're fine-tuning Bastion. I like that they're nerfing him a little bit. I do not want them to nerf him too much, because I like everybody in Overwatch to be viable. I would like them to kind of take another look at Torbjorn, just because Torbjorn's kind of in a rough spot right now. He's one of the lowest pick rates, I think, in the game. Not 100% sure on that, but I think he's one of the lowest pick rates for a damage dealer or even a defender. So everyone in Overwatch needs a counter. That's the way that it has always worked. That's the way that it probably always will work. And I agree with this, and especially whenever you have something like a Bastion and it has no counter, what can you possibly do? Well, in this case, you need to nerf something. You need to nerf something or you need to buff something. And this is the only other idea that I had other than nerfing Bastion quite a bit is maybe buff somebody like Hanzo. Because Hanzo or Widow or Junkrat, all of those can deal with a Bastion just because they're distanced from him so that they can actually get a lot of damage. Obviously, Junkrat can kind of blind fire the area and get really close to him or hit him dead on. And so he can kind of force him to either move or just outright kill him. Hanzo, of course, does a ton of damage. And then Widow, of course, does a ton of damage. And they can just peek and they do a lot of damage per bullet. And then on top of that, Pharah can just shoot him with a couple of rockets. 3 direct hits from a Pharah, and that's going to be a dead Bastion. Of course, if he's getting healed from multiple sources, then that's not going to be a dead Bastion. But she can still harass him a lot and force him to pack up and move, whereas he can't shoot her in sentry mode, so he'll have to shoot her in recon mode, and it's going to kind of split his planes of view, and you'll have to go from there and kind of make those adjustments and see what takes over what. So I think that Bastion comp can definitely be changed. I think Bastion comp can definitely be countered. You just have to have a very, very smart team to do it, a very coordinated team to do it, which you aren't going to see a lot in competitive, but it is very important that we kind of try and make these changes to our comps and counter these Bastion picks. The reason why is because Jeff doesn't seem to want Bastion to go anywhere necessarily. He just doesn't want him to be the only thing picked. You know, he doesn't want the team to be built around the Bastion. He wants Bastion to be a pick, and then, you know, the team picks whoever they want to make a solid comp there. That's what he seems like he wants. So I would say find something that can counter the Bastion. Find the best things that can counter the Bastion. Good positioning is always going to make Bastion's job hard. Obviously, if you flank and kill some people, you might force Bastion to move. There's plenty of things to do. So just experiment and see what you can find out. So let me know, guys. Do you think that Bastion is overpowered? Do you think he needs a lot of a nerf? Do you think he needs just a little bit of a nerf? What do you guys think? If you like the video, make sure that you check out some of my other videos. And if you like all those too, then maybe subscribe because it helps my tiny channel grow. And as always, until next time, I will see you later. Peace.